So yesterday was a pretty big day for me because I was out at the mall looking for a Valentine's Day gift for my wife. And I was there and I got a notification on my phone that there was a brand new release by YSL, one of the big blue brands out there, and it was YSL Elixir. So I was already going to head into Macy's to look and see if they had the new Dolce & Gabbana K Eau de Parfum Intense, and they didn't. But guess what? She looked at me, the person that I actually know that works there, she looked at me and goes, guess what? We got the new YSL Elixir. And if you guys know, if you get a notification that there's a brand new release announced, then you're not going to probably see that fragrance for about a month. Well, this time I just happened to see it like an hour after the announcement. And so lucky me, I was able to do a live stream last night. I wore it through the whole day. So technically my first impressions were last night. If you want to go see them, it is on my recap of my live. But today we're going to be doing my technical first impressions along with the dry down. So you guys will be able to see that of YSL Elixir. So without further ado, let's get it. What's good, my great smelling dudes? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Randy, aka FragranceDoud. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you hit the like, hit the subscribe button if you do like my content. Also, comment below and let me know if you're excited about this. If for some reason your Macy's might have got this in, because I know a lot of people were going searching, because I got so many messages like, where did you find it? How can I find it? I'm going to my Macy's, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, I went out to the mall looking for a Valentine's Day gift. Also, obviously, when you're at the mall, you're looking for fragrances too, and it just so happens that the lady was working. I always take a few empty decants with me, whether I go to Nordstrom's or Macy's or anything, because sometimes if I find something, I might spray a few sprays into a decant. And it just so happens that the lady was working at Macy's that I know, and she let me spray because I didn't want to wear it because I was already wearing a fragrance. So I sprayed it on my hand, and then I got about maybe a milliliter or two in one of my decants of the elixir. So let me just spray it on my hand here, and I will let you guys know just a little bit of the information. So the bottle right there, that was the one. It looks like kind of like a tacky blue. Not like cringy blue or anything like that. It does look better online, but it has like this almost like sticky tacky looking blue, almost like a marble blue. With that said, presentation, it's a 2 ounce. That's the only size that they have at this point in time. And in the United States, it's running at $182. Which after tax, it was $194, I think is what she said, which almost $200. I wasn't about to blind buy the fragrance, which is why she let me take this little decant and I put it on, sprayed it on. I mean, I just wasn't going to buy that. I'm going on vacation in a week. I'm not spending $200 on a fragrance when I just spent $160 last week on one. With that said, let's see what we talk about. YSL Elixir. If you were expecting, because if you saw the note breakdown, it looked dark and spicy and it had oud and incense in it. It's not like that. Just get that out of your mind because it's not like that. Is it a little bit darker and a little bit spicier than the otherwise in the line? Sure, yes. Is it noticeably darker and spicier? No, it's not. It's noticeably soapier. So when you first spray this on, it gives you a resemblance of YSL EDP. It's not heavy on the apple by any means. This is more of like kind of like an aromatic, soapy fragrance at its core. It's a lot of ginger. It has a little bit of that fruity tone in there, which could be apple, but it's really overdone by this geranium lavender ginger mixture that just comes off super soapy to the point where it legit smells like the YDNA mixed together with a bar of like Irish Spring soap. And as soon as you smell this, you'll know exactly what I mean. And that gets a little bit more prevalent once you get into the mid as well. So the first 15 to 20 minutes, it's 100% just this kind of like soapy YSL, just a little bit darker and spicier slightly. And when I say that, I mean, it's almost like the difference between the EDP and the Le Parfum, how it's just a slight bit darker, a slight bit spicier. And it's not very woody, and it's not smoky by any means. It's just a more soapier version, more aromatic, soapy version of the YSL DNA. It is very heavy in the opening. It's heavier than the Eau de Parfum. Very strong, pushes off your skin. So if you're looking for, even though Elixir is a fad, it's a parfum. This is a parfum, just an FYI. It's not an extrait de parfum. It's just a parfum. It's going to push out pretty heavy. But when you guys know what about a parfum, parfums are going to be one of those fragrances that usually in the opening is pretty strong, but then it starts to meld down on your skin and becomes more of a moderate to above average scent while lasting a crap ton of time, but it's not going to be like Sauvage Elixir style status. And that is kind of what this fragrance does, but I'll get to that in a minute. So again, soapy, YSL, geranium, that clary sage, but it's lavender and ginger, really centric, with a little bit of this kind of sweetness undertoning it, which comes across to me like tonka bean. So they're still bringing kind of like this amber woody tonka bean over from that YSL YLA Parfum. That comes out a little bit more as you get into the dry down. So this is super soapy for probably about 30 minutes to 45 minutes. It is very soapy, and it's still soapy for the entirety of the fragrance. So if you don't like fougere-ish style soapy-like fragrances, you're not going to probably like this fragrance unless you do like the YSL DNA. The opening is okay. I still like the Le Parfum. I still like the Eau de Toilette better than this in the opening. The dry down is where this one gets very good. Very, very interesting, very good. It's not like any uniqueness by any means. It still smells like the YSL Y, still has these smoky undertones. But it gets a little bit more of the sweetness in there. And that's where that YSL Y EDP kind of goes out the window. And you're looking at almost like a slightly darker, slightly richer, a little bit soapier version of the YSL Y Le Parfum. It does have a little bit of its own unique twist to it, which is a slight bit of this incense. It's almost kind of like the incense that you get from something like Bleu de Chanel Parfum, where it is there, but it's not like front and center amouage style incense or like Boss Bottled Elixir, like heavy incense or heavy woods. No, the woods come across in this, doesn't come across like oud or designer oud. Doesn't come across like that. It just comes across almost like amberwoody. Mixed together with a slight bit of incense, this soapy undertone, and then you have almost kind of this like creamy tonka sweetness over top of it. So yeah, really in the opening, it just reminds me of YSL Y EDP. I don't know why I didn't bring any of the bottles out. I probably should have done that, but it reminds me of that more because of the fact that it's just strong, it's potent, it's pushing out, it has that soapy Y DNA. It's not as sweet, doesn't have as much of that fruity apple in it, but it's definitely aromatic, soapy, and then it has a little bit of this tonka undertone. As you get to the mid end of the dry down, that starts to dissipate more into the background. It never fully goes away, and then you're kind of having a darker, slightly spicy, with a touch of incense and woods. That's almost like like I said, like an amber woody mixture, and some tonka version of that YSL Y Le Parfum, just a little bit darker and spicier with a touch of incense. Nothing crazy, nothing over the top, but it smells super good. And especially after you get to like the hour mark, 45 minutes to an hour, it gets super smooth. It is super alluring, super sexy, but for anybody who doesn't like soapy fragrances, again, if you don't like soapy fragrances, this is very heavy on that kind of soapy shower gel-like accord, which a lot of blue fragrances do that, but this one is kind of just amping that to 1,000 as far as that soapy-like texture. And once you get to the dry down, it gets a little more creamy and smooth. It's like smooth as a baby's ass when you get to the dry down. But it's just that kind of opening. It's like a sharp soapiness. A lot of ginger, a lot of that geranium, clary sage, lavender mixture. But I can just tell at the top of it for the first like opening 45 minutes, if you don't like lavender and ginger, that's what it is. It's a lot of that YSL Y DNA just amped to 100 and very soapy. With that said, what about the performance? So the performance of this, again in the opening of this, because I wore it yesterday from 4 until like 2 a.m. And I can tell you that the opening, maybe hour and a half, is where it is its strongest. Again, it is a parfum, so it's not going to be like super pushing out like like an extrait de parfum would. This is going to be something that in the opening is going to be well above average. It's going to fill probably 6 to 10 feet away from you. It's going to have a crazy sillage. But then as it starts to settle down on your skin, after about an hour to an hour and a half, I noticed that it started to become more of like a foot away from the skin, which is what a parfum usually does. But it was the exact same an hour and a half after as it was like 10 hours later. It never really fell down on the skin to the point where it was non-existent. It was just like a foot to a foot and a half away. And I only sprayed it like 2 or 3 times max. And so this might be one that you can still spray like 4 to 5 times easy. And maybe you will get a better scent trail from that. But with this, I would say after about an hour and a half, I would say maybe to be safe 2 hours. That is where this above average to extreme projection really comes down to more of a moderate, intimate type scent that is going to last. And I mean, even on this card right now that I sprayed on, like 30 hours ago, 40 hours ago, it's pretty still, it's still pretty much there. I mean, and that's the same way that it was on my skin until like 1 a.m. last night when I took a shower. It's the same that it is on the hoodie that I sprayed it on. So I can tell you this fragrance is going to last. It's just if you're looking for something that's going to be like a beast mode projector for a 10-hour period, it's not going to do that. But it is going to allow people to notice you. I mean, you will still get noticed with this. It'll probably, if you spray it 4 to 5 times, you're probably going to get like a 3 to 4 foot scent trail for probably 4 to 5 hours. But with that said, the fragrance overall, I would rate the opening probably like an 8 to an 8-1. I think that it's a above average opening. It's the YSL DNA, obviously. It gets to a point where in the mid, I kind of like am not sure. It gets a bit sharp and soapy. But it's not like I didn't like it. It was just kind of okay for me for like a 5-minute period. But the dry down for me is like a 9. I really enjoy the dry down. I think that you guys will really like this. It's just I don't think that any fragrance that is like a designer like this is worth a $200 price tag for 2 ounces. That's $100 an ounce. And so that's what the fragrance is going for, about $200 for a 2-ounce bottle. And so I'm going to wait till it shows up on News Parfums in France, and I can probably get it for about half that price, and that'll probably be in about a month. So I'm just going to wait till I get home from vacation, buy it on there, and I can say it's definitely worth the price. It's just not worth that $200 price. Wait till it comes onto discounters. Go out to your Macy's, try it out. I know it's in a few Macy's right now. It's not in all of them because I know a couple other people told me they saw it as well. But yeah, let me know if you guys are interested in this fragrance. I'll obviously come back and do a full review once I've given this a full wear. I mean, I probably have 3 or 4 full wears left on this fragrance, depending on how much I spray it. But yeah, I'm really happy that I got it into that store. I'm really happy that she let me at least spray about 10 sprays into that decant. And yeah, YSL La Elixir, which, just an FYI, La Elixir, L apostrophe just kind of means the in France. It's just the elixir. If you guys, I should just call it L'Elixir. That's probably what it's supposed to be called, L'Elixir. But yeah, YSL Elixir is good fragrance, above average. I still like the Le Par at this point in time. So my wife really likes it, just an FYI. My wife really likes the fragrance. But the Le Parfum is still my favorite in the line. I think it's still the most wearable of the line, but this one is really pushing towards that top spot. It's just the Le Parfum is just great from every angle. And so it's really hard to beat one of the better fragrances out there, one of the best night out fragrances out there. And this one, it's coming close. It's just, you got to make your mind up. It's because it's very soapy. And so at that point in time, it makes me think that I probably will still prefer the Le Parfum over this, but I'll have to do some wears. Let you guys know in my full review when I get back from vacation. But yeah, very good fragrance. I would say overall it's like an 8.5. I think it's a good fragrance. Definitely worth checking out. It's just the price point per milliliter right now is pretty bad. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I'm not going to keep you here any longer. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back with another one.